young Virginian named George Washington is sent to expel the French. But he fails, of course, the Battle of Point Necessity, which I'm sure you've been, or Point Necessity. Okay, well, that failure leads Braddock over in 1755, and again, you know all about Braddock. And Braddock's defeat is why we're here. So, coming from Pittsburgh, you can just run through it pretty quickly, but it's that build-up of conflict between Britain and France. It's not until 1756 that Britain and France are officially at war, but they're fighting 1754-55, and that's what leads to the French and the natives coming out to the frontiers of the British colonies, and they're devastating the settlements. And so, with the British Army defeated back in Philadelphia and Williamsburg, the colonial assemblies of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia say we need to step up, we need to build our own forts and recruit our own soldiers. That's why I'm portraying the Maryland provincial soldier. And then also, with this fort, it's built out of stone. It's the only colonial fort built out of stone by the British. You'll see other stone forts that are built by the French. And so they're building a stone fort so it cannot be burned. The fort up in central Pennsylvania had been burned by a French Indian War Party, so Governor Sharp says that's why we need to build this out of stone. Historically, these bastions would have platforms in them. So they're empty now, but they would have an elevated platform, meaning to have a 6-pound cannon mounted in each corner, poking out of the corner. The French have no direct waterway here from Fort Duquesne, so they don't have any way to bring their artillery. The British are the ones that build the roads over the mountains. The French like to use the waterways. So the British really aren't taking into account artillery when Governor Sharp and the Marylanders aren't taking into account artillery when they're building these forts. Other forts like Fort Ligonier, I'm sure you've been at or seen, that's also sort of commanded by hills. But again, they're not worried about the French dragging artillery out. And the French attitude is that the British come against Fort Duquesne with artillery, it's time to blow up and leave, basically close up shop and leave anyhow. So they're not being built with artillery taken into mind, but they are being built, of course. You have your war parties, and they're carrying muskets similar to this. A bullet from a 69 caliber French musket is going to make no impression on these walls. And so with the artillery in these corners and plus muskets, all the French have are muskets in return. They're not going to have a very fun time attacking this fort, so they never do. They content with themselves with basically hovering around the fort, picking off wagoners who are supplying the fort, people coming into the area. So the job of the Marylanders is to actually go out and patrol for them. They're going out to Fort Cumberland, which is, as you know, is about 50 miles away. And they're oftentimes crossing into Virginia and recrossing into Old Town, which adds another 27 miles on their trek. So they're going about 70 miles to Cumberland, and they're going up even further. Even in 1758, they're going to within sight of Fort Duquesne, basically marching through Pennsylvania at Fort Bedford and then Fort Ligonier. They're progressing their way west. They're making long patrols out over the mountains to scout out the French. May of 1758, there is a delegation of Cherokee here. They're here to strike an alliance with the colony of Maryland. They're coming from northern South Carolina. So basically, if you think of eastern Tennessee, northern South Carolina, they're coming up all the way to Virginia. Then from Winchester, Virginia, they're being brought up here to Fort Frederick. They're dealing with the individual Maryland colonies because the Englishmen, of course, are enemies of the French. The French are friends of the Shawnee, who are enemies of the Cherokee. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's why the Cherokee are here. They're here to help fight the French, but principally the Shawnee and Delaware, allies of the French. And so they come here in May of 1757. An alliance is established in the Grand Hall. We have it recreated over on that side, but it would be behind the flagpole. That's where your officers' corps would have been. And so that alliance between the Cherokee and the Marylanders, the Cherokee in return for presents will train the Marylanders how to fight better. And so that allows them to then be an asset to General Forbes as he's marching through Pennsylvania. He calls his Marylanders his white Indians. He sends them, as I said, out ahead to do the ranging and the scouting. So yeah, historically 3 buildings in this fort should have been reconstructed, east and west barracks house. This is the west. We're still going to keep some of those rooms open, I guess, to look through. We're shutting down the east side for now. But feel free to look through some of these west side rooms. These are set up as the enlisted men's quarters. A company of men would fit comfortably in this barracks house.
How many's in a company?
100.
Wow.
So you have 100 men, 2 men per. You go to an 8-man room, you see 4 beds. You go to a 16-man room, you see 8 beds. That's not an accident. They are doubling up. Wow. In an emergency, you can fit 3 men because you are pretty much, sir. I'll pick on you. You're sort of a little bit taller than average, but you have sort of the prototypical wiry build of a Marylander. They didn't have McDonald's raspberry sweet tea back then, so so I'm a little overweight for the average Maryland soldier, but about my height, 5'7", 5'8"-ish. But we had 5'1.5", we had 5'11" men here, so they varied in height, but their weight's going to be about 140 pounds, and that is what allows them to fit comfortably in these barracks houses.
That's because they were
could get in here.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of history here. I won't go through all of it, but we do have Revolutionary and Civil War history. Our French-Indian War history ends in 1759 because being from Pittsburgh, you know, the birthday of Pittsburgh is 1758 in November. The French blew up Fort Duquesne, go back to Canada and leave the ashes of Fort Duquesne to build Fort Pitt on. So with the Fort Duquesne gone, this fort's no longer necessary. It's too expensive. The Maryland Assembly decommissions it, but a caretaker is left here. And because it's built out of stone, one thing I'll point out, you notice the difference in the shading on the stones. The darker stones from the 1930s restoration efforts, this is a big conservation fort. But the lighter stone, if you're touching 1756. So yeah, their digestive fluids, their sinuses, relief pressure on those. Circulation, they feel it's all better asleep in a prop position.
Yeah, never not
Wonder if it works.
And they have, you see the muskets. Now I have what's called the shortland pattern musket, the type of weapons you see on the right of the rack.
Okay.
But to the left of the rack, you'll see what they would have had. The longland, which is 4 inches longer barrel, wooden rammer, as opposed to a steel, a heavier stock. These were just coming out in 1750, so the Maryland Provincials are getting all the pretty much the old